Hi, Nicole. I am so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited to introduce you. Thank you again for being on Small Biz Diaries.
Thank you for having me today.
So, I've known Nicole and worked with Nicole, and we never met in person, which is crazy to me, but that's a whole separate topic. It's probably been what, like 3, if not 4 years, which is also mind blowing. But yeah, we met through a community and we just sort of stayed in touch. And Nicole has helped me as the traveling hypnotist with a bunch of unpacking of myself and who I have become and insecurities and vulnerabilities and money mindset. There's been so many things. So I could go on and on, but I'm excited to have her here as not only the traveling hypnotist, but as a friend. So I'd love for you, Nicole, to introduce yourself to everyone at Small Biz Diaries.
Sure. First, I just wanted to mention to you, Esperanza, I was listening to one of the audios from one of the classes when we first met, and you had mentioned that after the hypnosis, you had seen yourself really feeling vibrant, and your future self was kind of looking at you, going, "You got this. Just keep going." And I was like, wow, she really has totally embodied that future self. So to see where you came from, just, 3 or 4 years ago to now, you have completely stepped into that future version of you. And it was a full circle moment for me to really see you embody that.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry slash make me emotional already. But that means a lot. Thank you.
Of course. I guess let me give you a little bit about, who I am. I actually started my career in PR and marketing, I guess 19 years ago now. It's been a while in the travel and hotel space. So I've launched destinations, hotels, wellness programs, you name it. I've been a part of it. And I've really enjoyed all of that work. And I think at some point I caught the entrepreneurial bug and decided to launch my own marketing consulting business in 2017. And from there, I realized that I really had to do a lot of inner work. There are a lot of things that I thought that entrepreneurship was just going to take care of, that I wouldn't have to deal with, difficult people anymore, or that I would feel, comfortable over certain situations, or that I would have more control of those situations. And entrepreneurship made me confront all those parts of me, all these insecurities that I had that I'd never really dealt with in a meaningful way. And it it was the biggest growth I think I've had personally. But that also led me, because I was really suffering with a lot of ailments. I was losing my hair. I had stress induced alopecia, which is where you lose like chunks of hair. So I had this bald spot in the back of my head. I was having panic attacks and I had really awful gastrointestinal issues. I was kind of to the point where I couldn't eat, that I decided to try hypnosis. And I begrudgingly did it. And I did it because I was so desperate at that point. And I just remember listening to an audio that was on YouTube, and I was like, this is a lot like meditation. Okay, well, I can keep doing this. And I did. And I kept listening to it. And over time, it really made a difference for me. So I started to see someone privately, did sessions there. And then I loved it so much. And it was so helpful for me, especially around social anxiety, that I decided to delve into learning it. And from there, actually decided to become a hypnotherapist. So it's a it's funny how sometimes our soul work finds us through these experiences that we have. So I'm still an entrepreneur. I still, do my thing. And I also still work on hotels. So I kind of do a little bit of everything right now.
Thank you for sharing. I think that's why when we were talking about, you know, your journey offline and just what different parts of the entrepreneurial journey have impacted you and what you've learned, it was so fitting with your journey with hypnosis and also your journey outside of hypnosis with marketing and helping all these luxury brands that mindset really did play a big role in your journey and therefore plays a big role in an entrepreneurial journey. I think that that's why it's so important, or the theme of unpacking mindset really impacts your business success, is key. And really understanding what where your mindset is at is something that I constantly struggle with as an entrepreneur, or just like work through as an entrepreneur, because there's so many ebbs and flows of what you're doing every day. Some things a little bit more administrative, some things a little bit more creative, some things that you're hopping on the struggle bus for the day for your business, and mindset is what helps you really push through any and all of those moments. So on that note, what have you learned about your mindset throughout this journey of these different chapters of your life, whether it was, marketing, switching from marketing to hypnosis? Like, how do you feel like that truly has helped you to be where you are now?
I think like a lot of high achievers, I was very externally driven. So, when I was younger, I remember my mom used to have a chart of of chores, and she would put gold stars next to the chart. Like if you did your chore, you got a gold star. And that was the way my mind worked. I'm like, I'm going to do something and I'm going to get a reward. I'm going to get the gold star in whatever manner that was. Metaphorically, it was always looking for the gold star. And it served me well in many places of my life. I went to college, got my master's, moved to New York. I didn't know anybody in New York, and I was able to find a place to take me in under their wings. And I made my way here in New York City. So it worked out, the doing, the proving, the being. But where it became a problem is when I realized that not everybody liked me, and some people just naturally had conflicts with me, or maybe they wanted the same things that I did, and so we butt up against each other. And anytime I faced criticism, I really noticed how that just took me down. I even saw it in my romantic relationships. I would date people that were very intelligent but highly critical, and it would take me down. So I was constantly looking for, whether it was like dressing a certain way, buying certain brands, or um, living like a certain life, like going to the Hamptons all the time. I was using my money and spending it to try to buy my self-worth.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things that I really noticed that I struggled with. So through the entrepreneurial journey, when I was smacked in the face with, oh, this doesn't go away in outside of the corporate space, those feelings, when it doesn't go away, you have to deal with them. And that's when my internal journey started. It's when I had to actually learn real confidence and what that looks like for me. Because confidence in itself is a construct. So people have different ideas of what it is. The word itself means with trust, to move with trust. And when you learn to trust yourself, when you learn to validate yourself, that's when the game changes for you. But that takes a lot of digging and unearthing of, why you actually even think that way. And you have to reprogram your mind around it.
Yeah, that's beautiful in the sense that you realized it didn't escape the corporate world. It stayed with you. It manifested in different forms. And I think often that's what we try to do, is we try to control the external because it does feel a little bit more in control, versus looking more within and going into that somewhat unknown space of like, well, is there a direct result to this? Like, am I going to see something that will show me I've learned about myself, or become the person I'm supposed to become? There's a little less of that
Mhm.
um within the internal journey, that I
Mhm.
think it's not as like the instant gratification that we're all used to now, of like, okay, now now that I've done this work, I can see the results. Unpacking your mindset, you've taught me this, is something that happens continuously.
Mhm.
And you get to know more of, you know, whether it's certain triggers that are causing you to think a certain way, and you get to know how your mind works a little bit more, which is what helps you when those situations come up again. You're like, okay, well, I recognize this. I recognize that I'm going down this rabbit hole again. How can I just like work on getting myself out of it? What do you think is the biggest hurdle of even unpacking their mindset or digging a little bit deeper? And how do you think that truly does help them later on with their business?
Yes. I think most of the time people, as you said, are looking for the external thing. They're looking for an ROI, right? They're like,
Mm.
oh, but if I do this course, I'm going to get an ROI of 3,000, 5,000, whatever it is. So we tie it to money or to, a certificate or whatever that might be. And it's not until often they're confronted with an illness or just super high anxiety that they are like, okay, something has to change. When you realize how your mind is really impacting your body, how much it impacts your body, that's when the door opens for real change and people are willing to do the work. It's rare that someone will just do it because they usually have to be at a pain point before they're going to do it for themselves. But that is what I would like to change. That is why I'm trying to make people aware of the inner work that needs to be done, because when they start doing it, it will transform them. And I think you're a great testament to it because you do have a hard ROI. I mean, your life looks very different now than it did before. And I don't think people realize that a lot of that result on the external is a result of what you did on the internal side.
And I think the belief that it's able to happen, like truly believing and visualizing that it is able to happen is also a big part of it, which kind of takes me into my experience with hypnosis a little bit, which I would love to kind of go into because I definitely think that there is a stigma around hypnosis that I know I've talked to you about that
Mhm.
I had. I did like a stage hypnosis experience when I was in high school, and it was fine, but I definitely feel as though it was what you think of when most people think of hypnosis, which is, you're in control, but someone else is directing you and giving you instructions, and, obviously the stage hypnosis components. So when I realized that there was more to hypnosis than just that, it was and that this was before I even started meditating really. Like I started to get into a little bit more of breath work and just doing things that required a bit more of like looking within. But when I realized there was another way of tapping into parts of my subconscious that I didn't even realize were there, or just like opening my mind to the possibilities and the opportunities and the visualizations that could help me, um, it really, I would say, turned a leaf and just allowed me to be more receptive and open to the energy or the opportunities that might come my way with whatever it is that I was focusing on at the time. But obviously I know that everyone's experience with hypnosis is different, or everyone's perception of hypnosis is different. So with your clients, or with people that are your the high achievers that you're helping, what do you think is the best way to introduce them to hypnosis? What's your explanation, so that way people are a little bit more it's
Yeah.
realizing it's more than just stage hypnosis.
Sure. I do think people confuse stage hypnosis with clinical hypnosis or hypnotherapy. And I wish that there was another word that we could use for it that would just separate it. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with stage hypnosis either. So, and I think those people who do that they can do good work with it. It is about entertaining, but do think that there's an opportunity to do some healing work with that side of it. Um, but what do I tell them? I tell them it's like visualization. Like, it's like visualization. You're going to be exploring some of your old memories in the past. It's about making suggestions that are empowering. And ultimately, it's like utilizing visualization meditation to really take back your power. It's not mind control. It's you taking back your power from the past, from things that perhaps you experienced when you were a child or a teenager or, adult, that triggered you, that created these like little moments of mini trauma. Because ultimately our brain wants us to survive. So if we had a moment that was really painful for us, our brain's like, this is a problem. We're in the same situation. stop it, like get out of this. And then you feel anxious and sweaty and stressed out and afraid. And if we can go back and work on those parts of your life and really look at it through a lens of growth and evolution, then you can change how you relate to those parts of your life. It's like you're going to keep copy and pasting the past into your current life unless you address the past, unless you address the original copy, right? The original form. And that's what hypnotherapy does. And it does it very quickly. I think that's what I really love about it, because I'm a person that really values efficiency and results. So when someone who is helped by hypnotherapy, they can actually make these changes pretty quickly in their lives. I do one sessions, but I think 6 sessions is really the key to truly making some big changes in your life. And I've seen a lot of great results. People who have changed jobs, people who have left old relationships that didn't work, and now they're in loving relationships. I've seen people just move through a lot of old baggage, and their lives look completely different now. And they're happier. That validation inside, their creativity blossoms. It's really beautiful to see what it looks like when somebody takes back their power.
Yeah. Holding on to stories, narratives, perspectives of a
Mhm.
memory, you don't realize how much it truly impacts you in your day to day until you start unpacking those things and realizing, like, wow, that certain memory is triggering this response from when I'm talking to superiors, or when I'm trying to pitch my business, or when I'm working 10 hours a day. Like, there's just so many things that could be like pulling you back into those moments. And I love that you described it as visualizations, because through my own hypnosis journey, I still recall visualizations that we had together to help anchor me in moments that I feel like either I could be triggered, or that it just feels like I need to step into that energy to really funnel things through. And I think that that's part of it, right? There's memory in those visualizations, or anchored in those visualizations, to help guide you. Quite honestly, being an entrepreneur, I think that's why your mindset is so important, is because you're wearing a lot of different hats. You're not just doing the same thing every day as you might be doing in a 9 to 5. You're worrying about growing your business, you're worrying about your day to day and what that looks like with family, or your routine, etc. So there are many different elements that go into being a business owner, and those elements really do get impacted by your mindset. So the visualization component has always been huge. I feel like um we've stemmed into hypnosis a bit more, which I'm not upset about, because I really think that's a tool in a tool belt that can help you with mindset. But what other
Mhm.
things, or I guess in obviously your experience and expertise, help with mindset for entrepreneurs, high achievers, people you've worked with?
I think it's challenging the beliefs. I see this a lot on like people that are doing social media or video. They're afraid to be on camera because they're like, well, what will somebody think of me? Am I pretty enough? Am I handsome enough? Am I articulate enough? There's like so much enoughness.
Hmm.
Am I thin enough? That's a big one. And in those places, you have to ask yourself, is this true for everyone? Is this true for everyone? And it's usually not, right? Does everyone who does well on social media, are they all thin and beautiful? No, it doesn't hurt, but there's definitely people that don't fit that. And they're successful because they're offering something valuable. People don't really care at the end of the day what they look like, or whether their hair was done, or what size dress they wear, or pants they wear. No one cares. They're there because they find a connection with that person, because that person leads with their heart. And you're like, I get your energy, and I relate to this. And so if we can challenge some of those stuck beliefs where we feel like when we notice that scarcity in our lives, and say, is this true for everybody across the board? So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I personally love to do for myself because I can get caught in that too. We all deal with it.
hmm And I think that's the part of the struggle is I feel like we're constantly on autopilot just with the way, I mean, part of it might be society, part of it might be noise, like external noise, and just like you're immersed with so much information like on a day-to-day basis. So it almost
Yeah.
feels like you have to control like your day-to-day as much as possible. But it's really taking that time to be present and understand because it
Mhm.
is easy to just go through the motions, obviously. But as soon as something feels off or something feels like this isn't right, or maybe I overdid it with that, or maybe I did this, like actually taking the time. And I think that's part of it is like, even if it is like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, like taking the time to be like, like, why did I do that?
Mhm.
And I feel like that's the struggle sometimes. I'm speaking for myself as well, like taking the time, not just getting caught up with the next moment and realizing, oh, whatever, like it just happened.
Yeah.
But actually taking the time to recognize it, and you don't have to solve it right in the moment, but just recognize that that was something that happened, and maybe later journaling about it or figuring out if there's a pattern, right? Like there are other steps you can take.
Yeah, I mean, in business, we would call it a postmortem. So when you finish a project, you look back to see what worked and what didn't. And I think the same thing is true with ourselves. So if we can do a postmortem, like if you went to a social event and you got nervous around a certain kind of person, stop afterwards and look at it and say, okay, what happened here? What were the beliefs that came up here? What did I revert back to? And just bringing the awareness there is really great for pattern interruption. And pattern interruption is what helps us to be able to change, the next step. So we can change our minds through big emotion, which is often happens in hypnotherapy. We have these big emotions, kind of the big breakthrough, or through habitual changes. So whether we choose to repeat a new pattern over and over and over, and then we begin to just take it on as our new way of being. And those are essentially the two ways we change. I wanted to mention one more thing for something that might be helpful as a tool is movement. I used to actually teach fitness classes, yoga and dance classes in my past, and I love running and marathons and all of those things. And one thing that movement has really taught me is when we have movement in the body, it creates movement in the mind. When I have a bad day, I'll go walk outside. And people have done this throughout history. They will go on pilgrimages and, we'll do these walks. There's a great walk through Spain that people do often. And when you do something like that, it allows natural bilateral stimulation. So we got both sides of the body get stimulated at the same time. It activates both sides of the hemisphere of our brain hemispheres, and it also helps us to process. And when we can process our emotions, it allows us to be with them in a different way and to be able to perceive them differently. It essentially changes our mood. On top of that, it's natural endorphins. Our body is a beautiful, pharmacy, if you will. Like we have our own medicines inside of us, different chemicals, biochemicals that can activate when we begin to change our movement or change our minds. Beliefs change your biochemistry.
That's what I love about you is you don't just break it down in a practical sense, but there is clear evidence, science behind it that showcases some of these facts that we are able to change our mindset. We are able to change how we feel about a certain component, even if it's just within our body or not. Your body manifests things or just like really showcases things externally sometimes. And just as much as that it's doing that, there's a healing component of it too that can come from within. But it's oftentimes that, there are many of these tools and steps that you can take to just really help you move forward with all this.
Yeah.
And here at Small Biz Diaries, we're all about the fact that entrepreneurial and small business owner journey is one that there is no roadmap to. Everybody's journey looks very different. And there are so many ups and downs, but I think mindset is one that's a constant, right? Your mindset will help you no matter if you're going through a bad day or a good day. That is going to be a part of you as you're working through your goals, as you're working through your day to day, etc. All of those things are super practical and helpful for people to do. As obviously a business owner yourself, what would you say is your biggest struggle right now or something that you're working through within your business?
Yeah, I think right now I'm looking at my audience, and I kind of really had, a heart to heart with myself recently. I work with a lot of affluent people, just naturally because I work with the Four Seasons and I'm one of their healers here at the spa. And I've made a lot of great connections, people that I love working with. But I feel like there's so many people that perhaps can't afford my prices, can't afford to work with me on a program basis that could really benefit from hypnosis and, business coaching, which is the other piece that I'm adding, into my business right now. And I'm like, how can I make this more accessible? Because I feel like I want to offer something for for my community, for other Latinas, for people of color. And I want to see them not only take control of their minds, but to do well in life because, more abundance creates more abundance. And I want more people to have abundance in their lives. So I'm configuring a few things right now.
It just only shows as part of the process. It's a a good point to be at, right? Where you want to just see if there's opportunities to reach people in different ways, not just in the ways that have worked in the past. And
Mhm.
obviously, the Four Seasons brings a specific clientele and that you're obviously excited to work with, but there's so many other people that can benefit from the services. So I love that. I'm excited to see what that looks like. And then let's talk about the business coaching component. You've taught dance classes. You obviously have partnerships with these incredible brands.
Yes.
So your business journey within itself has been a big part of where you are now. I love for you to share more about that because it
Yeah.
really does impact, just the overall Nicole experience.
Well, I think that's it is it's the experience. And I think if I could help entrepreneurs understand anything, it's that when I work on hotels or when I'm, rebranding, working on these projects, I always look to see what is there. What already exists? Like what are the elements that we actually just want to make more fruitful, that we want to kind of bring up and out into the world. And when we really get a sense of who we really are and we work from those parts of us, our strengths, our natural passions, whatever that is for you, and you bring them up and out, it actually creates such a unique brand, a unique personal brand. So that's really kind of where the business coaching is going. And I want people to not only be able to help them with the mindset, but I think there's a component of personal branding that comes in there so that they can understand themselves as they're doing this healing work and then create a personal brand that really stands out in the market, and creating these like hypnotic offers, right? Like, wouldn't you want to have your own hypnotic offer that feels like it's truly you and people are excited to engage with you and excited to know your brand? And so that's what I'm doing. I wanted to bring all the components of myself together to be the most helpful that I can to someone else. And I also want to be able to help people do what I do with hotels in the luxury space with individuals, and give them that kind of high touch service, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you said before comes back around again, where at the end of the day, people are not connecting with your hair or, per se, your hair, your look,
Hmm.
things like that. They're connecting with who you are as a person, your energy, what you're passionate about. That type of energy and connection can be contagious, right? Especially when you do have that confidence and trust in yourself,
Right.
to really like bring those things out, those beautiful energies and things and emotions. It's kind of like when you hear someone talking about something that they're super passionate about. I mean, it's just a little hypnotic. Wow, they
Yeah.
really love what they're doing. My husband and I talk about all that all the time. Being able to experience that on its own is beautiful, right? Um,
Hmm.
so the fact that you're kind of taking all these little bits and pieces of your experiences and mindset work and really everything to help your own personal brand come out and reflect with whatever it is that you're doing is so beneficial. I mean, where do I sign up?
I know. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for people to be part of this new iteration, the new journey. It's the Trojan horse. Like, yes, you're going to get the personal brand out of this, but you're also going to get the mindset work that you probably needed to do all along out of it. So that's what's really exciting for me.
All the tips are just so practical, and it was a good reminder for me too. It's just a matter of being more confident in getting to know who you are, so that when those things come up, you're like, oh, okay, well, this is new, but I still think I love who I am, and it's just a new experience that's brought up new parts of who I am and things like that, which I think
Yeah.
I'm about to turn 30. Which is a whole other thing, yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm turning 30 in November,
Exciting.
and yeah, it's something, but
You're way ahead of me at 30. I was still I was still like going to the clubs and hanging out with the exes and all this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I mean, I my bedtime's like 9:30. So I definitely feel like I'm ahead of my age, but,
Yeah.
um I think that, for example, for me, post-college, I think I learned more post-college than during college. And
Mhm.
it's weird because usually you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna find myself in school and all this stuff." And I really don't think I put in any work. Like, obviously things came up, but, like, I think more of my work came after that. And I've heard from multiple people that your 30s are just where you really truly, like, can step into who you are and you don't care as much about what other people think. And the purpose of bringing this up is that I think that ups and downs within you growing as a person, like within itself, that will impact your day-to-day goals, business acumens, like who you want to be as a business person. Um, so being able to work with someone, guide you through some of those processes to be able to like unpack them with someone. Obviously, you can do some unpacking yourself, but
Right.
working with a professional, working with someone that has such a different unique perspective always helps shed light on things you might not be seeing. It's almost
Yeah.
like when you're working with your business, you're working in it every single day that you're
Right.
not seeing some of the things that might be obvious. So
Mhm.
working with someone else that kind of can take a different microscope look always helps.
No one's really aware of their blind spots, right? I mean, and that's what this work is really about.
Well, I really do think that this is going to be super beneficial for people to hear on so many different fronts, because it's sometimes a little scary and daunting to think like mindset has such a big impact, but on the opposite side, it really can help you substantially get to your goals faster, get to where you want to be, and be a better person for yourself, for others, whatever it is. So I think that, like you said, confidence looks different to many people, but success does also look different to many people. So working through that mindset or unpacking that mindset will only help you get closer to where you want to be with whatever success looks like for you. Um, so
Your soul success. Like there's outer success in what we define of like, oh, I need to be a millionaire. Well, maybe your soul doesn't necessarily want that. Maybe your soul wants something different.
Mhm.
And I think that's where success, like real success that's really meaningful, looks different for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you just sharing all that you shared, being vulnerable with where you are with your business, and just um, sharing all of your insights today. It's just, I think, incredible to hear you speak. Obviously, knowing what I've already known, but also knowing what impact you're going to be able to make with all of the new things coming up for you. And speaking of that, I'd love to see if there's, or like, I'd love to give you the space for talking about opportunities people have to work with you, or if there's any like in-person events, anything that you want to share, how people can connect with you, um, so that way they can find you.
Sure. So I guess the first way is online. I offer sessions, unlock your inner confidence sessions, and that can be both single sessions, and there's also a program called this extraordinary life. And so that's another, those are two ways that you can work online with me. Um, Also at the Four Seasons Hotel New York. I'll be at the Four Seasons Orlando soon in the next couple of weeks. So that's listed on my website. It's April 5th through the 7th. And then I will be introducing what's called The Way, which is going to be a membership. And it's a bit of hypnosis, a bit of, of this mindset work, a bit of business coaching that's going to be there, a bit of community, because community is everything. And I'm really excited to launch that because I feel like that's what's been missing for me personally. And well, if no one else is going to create it, I guess I'll create it. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm up to. And then, of course, the business coaching is going to be launched soon after that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, definitely suggest working with Nicole in any way, shape, or form. It's truly helped me, as I've mentioned, or just connecting with her, obviously, because she's such a like calm and beautiful light. So thank you, Nicole. Anything else that you want to leave people with or share? And any last advice or words for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I would say one of the things I think about and I do often is I go to the gym and I lift weights. And every time I lift weights and they're really hard for me or I feel really fatigued, I just tell myself, I'm like, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting stronger. And so in my business, when there's something that feels fatiguing, when it feels hard, I just remind myself it's just the same as lifting those weights. I'm just getting stronger in this area of my life. And, if you can use that metaphor in your own life when things feel hard, just know it's just like lifting the weight inside. If you could lift it, with your mindset, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's just putting in the work.
It's just putting in the
Uh,
work. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
knowing it's not about you. It's not trying to take you down. It's trying to make you better, better and evolve.
Yes, and it's like that quote, that I love. Life's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Um,
Yes.
I really truly believe that. So, oh, this has been such a beautiful conversation, and I know I'm leaving way more inspired and motivated. So thank you again, Nicole, for being here, for taking the time, being so present, and I'm excited for everyone to connect with you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed being here today. And I thank you for the opportunity for just allowing me to share more about all the things, mindset and all the things.